So first, we will discuss what we annotated in the experimental research scope, delimitation, and limitation. Scope. This study focused on the effects of the integration of grammar and input classes using the natural approach, on the improvement of communicative competence of selected first-year English class at CNE University. The components of communicative competence were delimited to speaking, writing, and grammatical competence using the natural approach, since they were the focus of development in the integration of grammar and input class. Likewise, this study discussed the relationship between the level of students' speaking, writing, and grammatical competence in the pre-test and in the post-test. Also, it talked about the way teacher-researchers reinforce the lesson in the integration of input class and the grammar class using the natural approach in helping students enhance their communicative competence. Moreover, in this study, the researchers did not intend to compare the communicative language teachings or CLT with the natural approach. For the integration focus, it focused on the development in the integration of grammar and input class. For the participants, communicative competence of selected first-year English class at CNE University. For the target competence, discuss the relationship between the level of students' speaking, writing, and grammatical competence. So they only focus on the effects of the integration of grammar and input class using the natural approach. It only talk about the way teacher-researchers reinforce the lessons in the integration of input class and grammar class using the natural approach.
For the delimitation, which is the study that describes the various choices made by the researcher in the conduct of the study, which should be mentioned. So the delimitation describes the boundaries that the researcher has set for the study. So first, for the delimitation, we highlighted the components of communicative competence were delimited to speaking, writing, and grammatical competence using the natural approach. So they are only focusing on the speaking, writing, and grammatical competence of the students, and they will not include any other competence aside for speaking, writing, and for the grammatical. For the next delimitation, we highlighted the researcher did not intend to compare the communicative language teaching or CLT with the natural approach. They will not compare or contrast the communicative language teaching and the natural approach. So the study only focuses on the relationship between the level of the students' speaking, writing, and grammatical competence. Next is 30 students of BSA 02 Accountancy enrolled in Grammar 100 and Commerce 101 were made the subjects of the study. The other delimitation that we highlighted is the observation was made with the use of an observation checklist. So these are the ways on how we highlighted or how we identified the studies or the scope and delimitation. So for the communicative competency, the study were only focusing on the components of communicative competence, which are speaking, writing, and the grammatical. For the chosen data collection, so the observation was made with the use of an observation checklist. So the study chose observation checklist. For the sample size, 30 students of BSA 02 Accountancy enrolled in Grammar 100 and Commerce 101 were made the subjects of the study. So they are the sample sizes or the subjects that are included in the study.
So the limitations, this study was conducted at CNE University first semester of school year 2016 to 2017. 30 students of BSA 02 Accountancy enrolled in Grammar 100 and Com Arts 101 were made the subjects of the study. To minimize the threat to validity, the teacher-researcher was observed by 2 senior faculty members of the English department to check if he was employing the natural approach or not. The observation was made with the use of an observation checklist. Limitations: time constraints, limited generalizability, observed bias, and place. So, time constraints because in the part of the paragraph in the research, they mentioned that this study was conducted at CNE University first semester of school year 2016 to 2017, where we can see that there limit in their research. Time limit in their research. Then the limited generalizability because they only cover the teacher and the researcher and the senior faculty members in English department. Then they observe that they state in their paragraph the observation was made with a use of observation checklist. For the observer bias, we highlighted to minimize the threat to validity, the teacher-researcher was observed the 2 senior faculty members of the English department to check if he was employing the natural approach or not. So, 2 senior faculty members observed the teacher-researcher to observe and minimize the threat to validity or bias. 4th place, which is the CNE University, the place that they conducted their research.
So we will tackle the scope and delimitation of the study by Kayabyab in the year 2017. So it is entitled Succession Due to Transfer or Rotation of Administrators, Basis for the Development of Successional Model. So as you can see, it highlighted, it states that it's aimed to determine the marriage stories of principals or schools administrators experiencing succession due to transfer or rotation of school assignments. So it is part of the scope since it is the focus of the study. When we say focus, it is where the study will be focused or will be studied. So it is very important in the scope since it is included and it is one of the most essential part of the study. So it is like one of the variables where it is one of the need to explore. So next is the phenomenology in approach. So it is a part of the scope since it will be included in the study. Since it is different from the limitations, where the limitations is you exclude, phenomenology in approach will be included. So it is part of the scope. Next highlight is to explore the lives and perceptions of principals during leadership succession due to transfer or rotation of school administrators and their challenges towards succession process for the fiscal year 2016-2017. So it is one of the most important variables in the study and it is considered as the scope. Why? Because it focuses on the lives and perceptions of principals. So it is a scope since the principals will be included in the study. So their experiences and their life experiences and their report, the experiences and any information that will gain for them will be included in the study, which is the scope. So in this part, it is also one of the variables since this will be explored and be focused and studied on. Next, highlighted is to capture and understand the essence of principal succession from the individual and collective insights, musings, reflections, and experiences of a select group of seasoned school principals. So, in this part, it is also one of the variables. So, it is a scope since it tends to describe or it tends to define what will the study will be focused on or what will be the study explore. So, in this part, it is included in the scope since it tends to capture the experiences of principal succession. So, as we can see, it focuses on the principal's experiences. So, it is one of the scope of the study which is very essential in the study. And lastly, the educational participants and the educational level. So let me read this following on why it is in the part of the scope. So A, school administrators or principals either from elementary or secondary levels in public schools, schools district supervisors who had experience to become a school principal and had undergone principal succession and who supervised them in the district level. C, regular member or school division selection promotions boards of DepEd Bataan and the availability and willingness of the research expert within DepEd when it comes to hiring and staffing our personnel to be interviewed who will function as an investigator for data triangulation. So in this part, it is one of the scope or it is part of the scope since this will be described or this tends to be focused and explored. So in this part will be their focus on what will their participants or educational level on what will they focus on or tend to explore what they tend to explore. So I will give to you BJ because this part also is an delimitation.
So we can also put this as a delimitation because first of all, it's cited as a variable because school administrator or principals are there, school district supervisors are there, regular member, and availability and willingness of the research experts. So as a meaning of a variable, this can be we can put this as a delimitation because they are citing the members or the one that they research for this study.
As I've mentioned from earlier. So this is the components of why we chose we highlighted those parts as the scope. First one is the focus. So the focus was mentioned that the researchers chose the principal's experiences as their focus of the study. Next is the approach. So since the approach will be included, the phenomenology in research is the scope since it will be included in the study. Next is the participants. So the participants of the study is the DepEd officials of the Bataan and the principals at the Bataan. So they will be the focus of the study, where they will be included and will be focused on. Next is the educational level. So the educational level is one of the essential parts of the scope since it specifies a certain education level where they will be focused and include. So it is one of the important components of the scope.
Alright, so next part is the delimitation. We highlighted the delimited on the narrated experiences of school principals or school administrator who provided leadership, management, and educational services. This means that we only included the school principals or school administrators who are the only ones they want to know what they experienced. And next is the public school, both in the elementary and secondary levels in the 2nd District of Bataan. The study will be conducted at the school system level in order to connect with and build an ongoing analysis of DepEd Bataan data. So this means that we only use the elementary and secondary. They only use the elementary and secondary levels as their participants. Next. The next is interview using semi-structured interview questionnaire and audio/video records. The principals were on their respective assigned school at the time of the study for an interview. So this part is where the tool that they used. They used the tool semi-structured interview questionnaires and audio video records. So they only used these tools to know what are the experiences of school administrator and principals. The next is the time allotted for the interviewers range from 1 hour to 1 hour and a half in length, and study was delimited to the lived experience. So this means that they only used 1 hour and a half in researching, in knowing what they experienced. Next, this part is also a tool. The data mining through MaxQDA software tool was used for the coding and sorting of the accounts from lived experience of principal and extracting essential themes and sub-themes of the data. So they only use one tool for coding and sorting it. Next, we included those that we highlighted because there are the target population where we only used the principal and the school administrators. The next is the tool that they only use questionnaires and interviews, and the coding and sorting thing. And on data collection, they only used they allotted 1 hour and a half on interviewing the principals. And lastly, the educational level. They only used elementary and secondary level to interview to know what are the experiences.
The next part is the limitations. The limitations are the factors or constraints that may affect the study. So since this part has already been explained by the previous reporters, I will explain my part. So the study used a qualitative research method and the phenomenological design to explore the lives and perceptions of principals during leadership succession due to the transfer or rotation of school administration and their challenges towards succession process for the fiscal year 2016-2017. The highlighted part is the time period, which can be considered a limitation since this may affect the study since we only have a limited time to conduct it. The next part is those who have experienced to be school administrators from selected various elementary and secondary institutions in the province of Bataan. So this part is a limitation of a place since we are only focusing on the province of Bataan. The next part is the target population was delimited on the narrated experiences of school principals or school administrators, since they play a major role in the successful functioning of their schools and that their parts become more challenging as schools face new demand in the educational phases here in the public schools, both in the elementary and secondary levels in the second district of Bataan. So this part is specified characteristics. Specified characteristics is refer to particular attributes or features identified and outlined in the context of the study. The context of the study is the school principal and school administrators play a major role in the successful functioning of their schools. So these are the components I explained earlier. The specified characteristics, which are the attributes or features identified and outlined in the context. Time constraints, which are the time period of the study, and the place is the location where the study is conducted.